Hey creative friends, it's Gwen with you back today with another scrapbooking process video. This one for Cocoa Vanilla Studio, and I'm using their brand new collection called Daydream. So I can't wait to get into this line, and I'm definitely using that rainbow pattern paper right there. It's my favorite. So that's top of the list. And I'm also going to be working with this one here and this black and white side. Here's my two photos. We are working with the theme Outdoor Adventures this week on the blog. So there's the two that I'm going to be using. And I will be backing those with the 6x8 paper pad. Now, I've gone ahead and fussy cut out that rainbow pattern paper. And then I've added it to the black and white spot background. I've then gone ahead and stitched around the arcs of the rainbow for an added detail, and that's going to be the starting point for the page, my background for my photos, and where this sort of goes. So the idea for the page is to actually have it be like a picture. I want the rainbow to look as though it's coming across the sky in the pictures, loosely speaking, because I do end up adding a lot of embellishments over the top. But just as you sort of glance at the page, I want it to look like that rainbow is sort of part of the sky. So if you haven't seen the collection, I do have an unboxing video on my channel, and I will leave a link for it somewhere here for you. You can see in that I go through all of the pattern papers in the collection. I go through all of the embellishments, the die cut titles, yeah, all the elements in the line. You get a really close up look at everything. So if you're ordering, perhaps if you're ordering online and you can't get into a physical store, it will give you a bit of an idea of what everything looks like. So yeah, check that out. I will pop a link somewhere for that. If not below, if I can't pop it into the video here, I will pop it below for you. So I have actually cut out quite a bit of footage there. There was just a lot of fussing, little tweaks. I wasn't 100% sure that my design was how I wanted it. So I did mess with it quite a bit. I tried the photos up higher. I tried them more towards the right hand side of the rainbow, near where that large flower element is. And then after all of that, I decided that they were best to be where I kind of put them in the beginning, but maybe a little bit lower down, and you'll be happy to know that that's actually where they stay. I'm also going through the embellishments and just getting a bit more familiar with what's in the collection, what sentiments I have. This is my very first page with the collection, and I do find no matter who makes the collection, no matter what manufacturer it's from, I find the first one can be a little bit, what's the right word, not harder, but just doesn't come together as well, purely because I'm not familiar with all of the elements in the collection. I haven't seen a lot of the pieces. Like this had arrived at my house like an hour beforehand, so it was really fresh. I hadn't seen a lot of it, so yeah, I do find that first layout's the hardest, not only because you're cutting into beautiful papers and you're not sure where to start, but also, yeah, because it's all new, it's all shiny and new, so many choices, especially for someone like me who's quite an indecisive scrapbooker. Limiting choices is my best friend, and when I've got a brand new collection, I'm like, oh, so many choices. So yeah, so the next one will be faster, no doubt. So I did cut a lot of that out. So I'm really happy with how this is coming along now. I can see the plan, I can see how the page is going. I'm happy with my photo placement there at the bottom, and they're now glued on, as well as that top floral cluster that's glued into position now as well. And yeah, so it's really, I'm kind of at that point now where I've got my larger pieces locked in and the plan locked in, and I can now start to work on the fun, cute, smaller embellishments that pull everything together. So the idea is that there'll be the large cluster at the top right near the rainbow there, and then a smaller cluster at the top right hand side of the photo, and then one down the bottom sort of towards the center. I do fuss with that a bit, which you'll see coming up. Yeah, it took a little while for that to come together, and I'm still not sure why. I think I made it more complicated than it needed to be. I do go about changing up a couple of the elements here. I noticed that the flare that I used had the Good Life written on it, and that's the same, see that banner piece down the bottom under my photo? That said the Good Life as well, and whilst I don't mind repeating sentiments sometimes on a page, those two pieces were quite large, and yeah, they were just, it was too much same. So I did switch that out for the rainbow one. I do love adding flair to my pages. I can't remember the last page I created for Coco that didn't have a flare. Yeah, I just find they're a really nice element to add to a cluster because they're a different texture and height. So that, see that cluster on the right there, that ends up having two stickers from the sticker sheet, a flare, the puffy heart, and then those die cut pieces that kind of make it up. And I like all those interesting different elements and putting them together. This is the fun part for me, creating the clusters. Whilst it's probably, maybe it's painful to watch, I don't know, because I do fuss with it a bit, but I don't know, it's just how I work. I can't change it, it's how I work. So I've got this one, see it's medium sized. So yeah, I'm working on all the things that are medium sized. And I've got to audition everything everywhere. Even though that leaf was perfectly fine there, I just, for my mind, I had to see what it looked like up there. How many places does that flower end up? Oh my goodness. It stays there. I don't know why I can't just place something and leave it there. It's funny. Oh yes, and this bottom cluster, it gets me. Oh, you'll see in a minute, I really struggle with it. And at the time I couldn't figure out why, but now that I'm watching it back, I think it's because on the right there, the right side of the page is very embellishment heavy. It's got the title, it's got all those floral pieces, and then the left side is very light and empty. So I wanted to add, because I've got my flowing clusters happening and I want to draw the eye down towards the photos, I want to add more embellishments down there, but I don't have the space to do it. I can't fit anything underneath the photos because they're pretty close to the edge, especially after that banner piece is there. So I think there's only maybe 1 centimetre underneath that banner piece, but then I can't add too much to the photos because I don't want to overlap, essential things in the photos. So I do decide that something can go there, and then I find it necessary to audition every single floral piece that I have, which was, I don't know, a lot of pieces. And yes, so I don't know why. I think, one I'm like, oh, it's too yellow, then this one is too pale, this one is too big. I struggled a little bit with the ones with the leaves because I didn't want the leaves overlapping the word, the Good Life wording. Yeah, I just was not sure. And I think, yeah, because I was really restricted with things in terms of not supplies, but the space that I had to work with, I was, yeah, really struggling. It does work out, and I do end up with a floral piece there. But that banner, the Good Life, actually changes, and you'll see in a moment. I even, I'll let you know now, at the end of the video, you'll see I finished it because I thought I was actually finished the page. So I did my little close-up view, and I thought I'd finished out the page. But then the next morning I got up and I had another look at it, and it still wasn't quite right. So I did go back and add some fussy cut little moths from one of the pattern papers. There's a pattern paper that's filled with moths. Let's see if I can find the name of it. Here it is. What is it? All Aflutter. and it's got, oh, all these sweet little moths on it. So I did end up fussy cutting those out and adding that after the video, but you'll see towards the end here. And even now that cluster, now that I look back at it, is fine. I could have left it like that, but I didn't. I did change out one more thing. I think it was at this point that I realized that that banner piece at the bottom needed to come towards the left a little bit, and I didn't like, see how it's the blue on the blue part of the rainbow? I felt like it needed a little bit more pink over that side just to balance out the pink on the right. So you'll see in a moment I do switch out that banner piece. It's funny too, because remember the page was going to end up having too many of the word the good life. It ends up having none of that sentiment on it at all, because I switched out the flare and then I switch out the banner piece here in a moment. Yeah, and as soon as I placed that, I realized that that's what that needs to be. So I do have to pull this up, and I'm nervous about that because it's the Bunnings foam adhesive and it's really high tack. But I think I get away with it because there was some stitching there. So it was not quite as solid to the background as I thought. So yep, that's where that ends up. So I'm really happy with that, and I am calling it done at this point. It's only the next morning that I come and go, it needs just that little bit extra, and you will see, I do show you a little close-up of that as well so that you can see the full finished layout. I'd love to know, do you have this collection? Is it on order? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, and of course I want to see what you make with it. So here's the close-ups of that. Look at that stitching, so pretty. And here are the butterflies and the extra elements. Thanks so much for joining me, lovelies. I'll see you next time. Bye.